Hello everybody and welcome to Movement Monastery. I'm Francescogcaban and we're talking about simple home equipment you can make for yourself during this difficult time and getting a workout at home. Now, I'm a huge fan of gymnastics rings, and if you can afford to get a pair, they're no more than usually $20, sometimes $30. If you can afford that, I recommend doing it, but if you can't, you can actually make some simple things that emulate simple training with that, and you can even make very similar things if you have a little effort, more time, and we can talk about those things later. So let's get started. All you're going to need for this are some PVC cutters and PVC. Now I recommend having the stronger PVC, which I think is Schedule 40 PVC, or I think it's a little bit stronger than that, but make sure you have some. I had some laying around, so I just went ahead and cut that, and you want to make sure it's not too brittle because then it will actually snap on you. Next thing you're going to need is some cord. And with that cord, you're just going to put it through. I'd recommend getting cord that is used for either climbing or something that will hold a lot of weight, right? You don't want to do this with you can even use paracord for this probably if you wanted to, but I would just be very, very careful about your cord choices. Be careful. Now after you feed the cord through the PVC pipe, you're going to do a simple knot by bringing it around and tying it through. Just follow what I'm doing here in the video, and you'll get there just the same way I did. I didn't take a lot of time to think about this. I just thought, what are some simple things people might have at home to work with? So here I am, just tightening this as much as I possibly can, all right, and just giving it a little tug there to make sure that it's nice and strong. You might also recognize these as the copyrighted and trademarked TRX rings, and I'm not saying that's what these are, but you can get an idea of where we're going with this. So you see me tying knots at different intervals here. I didn't measure the distances. I just kind of did a little bit of distance between each one. If you want to be more specific, you can measure off the distances between each knot. In fact, you don't even have to use the knots, but they can be useful for different types of exercises, and usually you can get them out if you want to. Maybe make two sets, one without knots, one with knots. Now for this first exercise I'm showing you here, you can throw this in behind a door and just make sure you give it a good push, and you want to hear that latch click in there, right? If you don't hear that click, the door's going to come flying open, and that's not fun. Here I'm just going to sit down in a towel if I have a wooden floor that's polished, and I can actually do rowing, pulling myself forward in this fashion. I'm just going to do a little simple turn around here, use the towel, and push myself backward the other direction, right? Now this is just very low impact training. I'm not trying to do a high intensity training thing here. These are just ideas of things you can do, and you can see I'm using the knots here to help pull myself forward so I have something to grab a hold of and get traction all the way down. And then you see a couple of variations of me doing that on my back. If you don't have wood floors, you can also just do this on carpet. Just make sure you have a nice anchor point. You can see beneath this board here I have some magic sliders. You could also use Tupperwares or Frisbees. Anything that slides on carpet will be fair game. I had to turn the board facing forward because I wasn't able to slide on it that direction. This way all my weight gets on the two sliders and I'm able to move forward quite easily. But the same thing applies. I'm just going to have it there and I'm going to give a nice pull, pulling myself forward. Also, kids love this as well if you want to get them to do some pulling strength work. Now if you have a pull-up bar or a branch, you can always just simply throw the cord over the top, lean back, and you can get yourself into some row variations based on where you put your feet, right? And this can help with, of course, just normal rowing, pulling strength. You can face the other direction and get yourself into a position to do pull-ups at any angle. What's great about this is you have a large variability of the angle and resistance you want to put into it, whether you're flat to the floor or not. I do highly caution, though, the cords tend to rub the sides of your arms, so just be ready for that. If you do a slightly different tie at the top, a loop through, you can give a little more side-to-side stability. Now with this setup, what I'm doing is I'm setting it down to be something to put your feet on to add for some kind of unstable surface work. I don't do this myself personally, but it's just something to kind of get an idea that you can see how I'm emulating a lot of different things people can do inside of TRX rings or other TRX bands or straps or anything along those kind of lines. But yeah, I'm just trying to give you some ideas of what to work with here, right? This is a way so that if you don't want to put your feet on the floor, you can have them there. And you saw that I put some oven mitts beneath my feet so that the cords don't rub into them too much, right? And there's lots of different things you can do from this position. Here's another angle doing exactly the same thing. You might also be able to help you out with some calisthenic work if you're working towards your planches and presses and some things along those lines, right? Anything to kind of get us into a novel way of training can kind of take out the monotony of everyday kind of work. Now if I put them a little bit higher, I can do this loop over and over and over again to the top. You might find some other ways to do this that's a lot easier with some more intricate tying instead of having to go through this process over and over and over again. But like I said, this is the simplest way to approach it. And then right here you can see me just doing a pull-up hold as well as doing other types of pulls. And this also works well with people's individual mobility and what they can do with it. Anyway, just wanted to show you that, and you might find some other ways to work with these specific exercises, but I just wanted to show that you have more to work with than you think you do. And if you have any questions or comments, please write them below and let me know what you think about this one. Obviously the sky's the limit with what you could do with this stuff if you just add a little more complexity. You all have a great day and stay safe.